On February 2nd, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service proposed to update their approach to managing the biological integrity, diversity, and environmental health, or BIDEH policy on lands in the National Wildlife Refuge System. As it currently stands, cooperative agricultural practices such as grazing and haying are allowed to take place on refuge landscapes as long as the Fish and Wildlife Service cannot meet its resource management objectives through the maintenance, management, or mimicking of natural ecosystem processes or functions. There are many ways that current agricultural practices help with land management, including through benefiting habitats that are vulnerable to catastrophic wildfires, which we in the West bear the brunt of. However, the policy change in this proposed rule wouldn't allow managers to make management decisions based off the needs of the individual refuge. Rather, the Fish and Wildlife Service is taking a drastic step to prohibit essential uses of lands that have been permitted for years, all in the name of so-called climate change. Mr. Girton, does every refuge have a biologist?
Thank you for your question, Congressman. My understanding is that all of our staffed refuges have at least one biologist on board of their cadre.
Are there any refuges that do not have a biologist on staff?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe so, but we can follow up for you for the record, just to give you certainty.
If you would, I would appreciate that.
Yes, Congresswoman.
The burden that this proposed rule is placing on each individual refuge will be enormous. And it seems to me the Fish and Wildlife Service is trying to expedite considerable changes to the management of national wildlife refuges without fully weighing all of the practical costs. Mr. Girton, do you happen to know how many acres of farm and ranch land our country is losing each day?
Not a specific number, no, Congresswoman.
Studies estimate that it's about 175 acres per hour, according to the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Virginia Tech. And this is land that we need to feed our nation, and it's being lost to things like development, sprawl, non-use fire, and in many states, massive fields of solar panels. Do you believe that the service has a responsibility as one of the agencies managing federal lands to help keep working lands in production and maintain uses like the managed grazing projects on refuge lands?
Yes, Congresswoman, we believe that's inherent in our mission, and also believe the proposed BIDEH policy would continue that type of work to move on. We work with, I have statistics right here, on 110 refuges and over 1,700 agreements with farmers are ongoing right now. We're working with another 1,700 cooperators and allowing grazing on 1.9 million acres of the refuge system to help us achieve our habitat restoration goals. And we believe our proposal is just putting a new lens on that work going forward, but we recognize the contribution to our mission and recognize that it's an important tool in our toolbox. And
I'm glad to have that statement on the record as we move forward. Mr. Wilecki, you have worked to restore duck habitat across the country. What do you believe would be the outcome of a major reduction or elimination in the use of agriculture on refuges?
Thank you for the question. That's a very good question. I'm very concerned about the number of duck energy days that are on the landscape. For example, it takes only 1 acre of flooded rice to provide the duck energy days that are provided on 20 acres of flooded moist soil vegetation. So agriculture can provide a lot of energy for waterfowl. We are losing flooded acres in the Mississippi alluvial valley. Ag research has shown in that area that when you flood your rice field, it actually reduces your following soybean output by about 14 bushels per acre, so a lot of farmers are not willing to flood anymore. Harvesting techniques have greatly improved. There's not as much waste grain on the landscape. So refuges need to do more. There was a study completed by the Fish and Wildlife Service in the Southeast region looking at waterfowl population and energy objectives on national wildlife refuges. Currently, their goal, they currently provide 475 million duck energy days, of which 223 million, 47%, are provided with agriculture, And they want to provide another 140 million duck energy days. So in order to accomplish that, agriculture would be the most efficient technique to complete that.
So it's fair to say that there's a symbiotic relationship between duck habitat and agriculture production.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and with that, I yield back.